I hope you're all having a good day so far. It's Paul here. Glad you could join me. It's Saturday morning here in Niagara-on-the-Lake in Canada. Great to see you all here. I see some of the usual suspects are deeply committed people here week to week. Nice to see you all. I'll say hi to some of you in just a few moments. Got lots going on today, so let's go and run down the agenda. First of all, we're going to be working on Blame It on My Youth. So let's do two things. Let's do a quick sound check. I'll play a bit of the tune. I'll play it longer in just a little bit. But just to get a sound check, if you can hear my voice okay, please comment in the chat area. As always, you are my sound men. And then let's just play a little on the piano. Okay, David says, I hear you fine. Friedrich says, sounds okay. Okay, I prefer fine to okay, but I'll take okay. All right, good morning to everyone, and thanks for being here. We're going to do, at the end, reveal is going to be an alternative transition to A-flat major in the tune Blame It on My Youth. I'm not going to talk about it during the session because what I wanted to focus on for that tune was solo lines, and specifically how to make every note that you play count. I know that a lot of us are seeking that perfection in our soloing, and so I'm going to give you some pretty solid advice, I think, some very good direction to copy or model yourself after. And this is kind of how I started. It's obviously good to know your modes and your scales and things like that, but it's almost sometimes easier than that. And I'm going to try to break it down as best I can. And then, of course, you got end reveal to look at the end of the session. Let me put a link up to the sheet music for today. And then I got something I want to share with you as well. Here's the sheet music link. It's just you don't have to fill out a form this week. I really didn't have time to get that together. And I'll tell you why, because Nancy's cancer journey has changed significantly this last week. And we're actually waiting on a bed in Sunnybrook in Toronto because they can't even deal with her case now in St. Catharines. So, yeah. I'll update you a little bit more on her journey a little bit later. I actually have to go to Toronto today. So, yeah. That'll be fun. What did I want to do as well? Oh, yeah. So I've been watching the Olympics. And one of the things I thought, and Amadeo is here, and I'm glad you're here because obviously the Olympics are in Cortina in northern Italy in the Alps. And it's just some place that I just want to go skiing because I've been watching all of the ski events, all of them, like literally like women's half pipe and freestyle skiing, big aerials stuff. I've been watching downhill and slalom, which is one of my favorite events, and it's just been really fun to watch because I'm a kind of a skier. So what I wanted to do was show where I was a couple weekends ago when I missed it. So would it be okay if I shared a little bit about my vacation there? So first thing I wanted to show you is where I was. How do I find that? I had it open here somewhere. Here, yeah. So this is Canada, clearly. Well, actually, let me zoom out a bit. So this is Canada. It's a big place. Most of it is uninhabitable because, it's just bloody cold, especially this time of year. And I went skiing in Mont Blanc. which is in the Quebec Laurentide. So if you actually look north of, oh, I shouldn't do that. Let's go back to here and zoom this way. So there's Mont Blanc, and if you go south of there, you get to Montreal, and let's put in where I'm from, so we get directions. Let's go get directions to Mont Blanc. Home. So it's going to say something like 7 or 8 hours. Yeah, 7 hours, 25 minutes. So it's not close. It took us 9.5 hours to get there because there was a fair amount of snow along the way and we had to stop for the dog several times. Anyway, that's where it is. And let me show you what I did on my vacation. I prepared like 1-minute video. So enjoy. Let me know if you have any questions. I might actually talk a little bit through this, but let's go. Paul Tobey's ski trip to Quebec. Here we go. We're just going to take some pictures of the lovely mountain. And behind us, all the skiers. And then everything up front. And then Francine, say hi. Dis bonjour. Bienvenue au Québec.
Bienvenue au Québec.
Et voilà. This is Mont Blanc.
Oui, Mont Blanc, dans les Laurentides.
Oui, c'est Mont Blanc. So this is actually me skiing. And so we go up the chairlift, we go skiing, and then we come in, get warm, because it was bloody cold. Like minus 15, minus... Yeah, about started at minus 17, got up to like minus 14. So you ski, 5 or 6 runs, you come in and get warm by the fire. And you can see before there was actually the Winter Olympics on the screen. So we're actually watching the Olympics at the ski lodge. Yeah, so there's a little bit of my ski trip. I probably skied a little bit too hard. I don't know if you could tell from the thing. It wasn't a very long shot, but I can actually ski really well. But I think I overdid it a bit because that's a lot steeper than it looks. It was actually a diamond run, and I probably shouldn't have done that. We did that a lot that day, actually. I didn't feel anything, and then when Nancy got her bad scans a few days ago, like a week ago, it just started to get my back and leg and everything just started hurting. So me and her are kind of like in sync and in tune together. So, when she doesn't feel well, I start not feeling well. And I think it might have been due to that ski trip. Anyway, so there you go. If you have any questions about any of that, you're more than welcome to ask. But I just wanted to share a little bit of it because I took Saturday off a couple weeks ago and just wanted to let you know what I was doing. Not sure if any of you are skiers. I would love to hear that. Anyway, just shout out to Amadeo for, hosting the Olympics. I know you're not doing it personally, but Italy's doing a great job, and we're enjoying it. So thank you. We've got David and Friedrich and Shell and Jerry and Rich and a bunch of others. I probably missed several names in there, but I don't want to take up too much time saying hi. Let's get into the music. Let me play a little bit of Blame It on My Youth. I'm going to put... Oh, did I not pin it to the top of the chat? Let me pin this to the top of the chat. Pin message. Yeah, so there's the lead sheet that we're going to download. I didn't really have time to write out sheet music today, so let's just share the lead sheet. You don't need to... Just click the link. It should just work. And yeah, I appreciate that, Allison. Thank you. Glad we had a good time. How many of you, by the way, are watching the Olympics? It's kind of fun, actually. I'm Austrian. I used to be skiing. Nowadays, it's too expensive. Yeah, it's very expensive to go skiing, even in Quebec, let me tell you. It's an investment, but you only do it a few times a year. So yeah, anyway. Okay, so I'm going to play this tune. A couple of things to listen for. First of all, let me share the sheet music. So this is Blame It on My Youth. This is what you're downloading. It's in the key of E flat. And the reason why I like this whole sort of lead sheet concept is because in those chords that are being displayed on the screen, you can see not just patterns. There's patterns in every chord progression, really. But not just that, what you're looking at is whatever comes first after the actual note. So for example, E flat is the first thing you see, but whatever comes next kind of dictates if it's major or minor or diminished. Also, they're really only choices. And obviously there's dominant as well, but you get the idea, right? It's like if you have a dominant seventh chord, the seventh comes next. So that's the most important thing. It's like, well, what kind of chord is it? And then whatever the extensions are after that, that's kind of secondary. Important, but secondary. So what I wanted to talk about today was specifically those chord tones that come from those first symbols. So what are the chord tones for major, and how do you actually think about that when you're soloing? So that's what I want you to listen for. Just listen for tonality. Because I think a lot of times we're seeking perfection in our playing, but we somehow miss the fact that the perfection comes from the way the chords are already arranged, not what we can blister note on top of that. In other words, if you play like a lot of notes, it's kind of hard to tell if it's legit or not, because there's nothing to latch on to. So that's what I want you to listen for. And I'm going to play it, and let's see how this goes. Yeah, just reading some of the comments, it absolutely is a beautiful tune. And I think it's the perfect tune to discuss what I wanted to talk about today. Let me read a few more of the comments and then we'll get down to business. So awesome arrangement. Thank you. Just made it up on the spot. So yeah. I think in terms of arrangement, what we had there was an introduction that was sort of improvised, not sort of, totally improvised. Didn't actually know where I was going. Then I clearly stated the melody, which is the most important thing in this tune, which is so beautiful that you don't want to really interrupt it. Somewhere through the first chorus, I kind of got a little bit, I think I added a couple of extra bars because it's been a while since I played the tune, and then I got into the solo section and I tried to hit chord tones, which is really what I wanted to talk about today. And then just sort of played it 2 choruses of solo and ended the arrangement on the last chorus. I sort of went back before and forth between soloing and the tune itself, and that's what we got. So thank you for the comment on nice arrangement. There's some discussion amongst yourselves, so I'll leave that for you. So thank you for interacting with each other. I think that's perfect. Hi, everyone from Spain. Good to see you. And very nice, like always, beautiful. Okay. So I think I covered most of the comments so far. If you have any specific questions about what we're going to talk about today, please ask them as we go along. It kind of makes it a little more interesting if you kind of challenge me on what you need to learn and understand. Let's go to the sheet music, which is here. Actually, what I want to do really is just kind of make a screenshot. So let's start there. And go at this pragmatically and systematically so that we can kind of figure out, like, it's one thing to hear it and go, wow, that sounds beautiful. And that's what some of the comments were. But, like, where does it come from? And so, did I put the right thing on the screen? Yeah, I think so. Okay. Let me circle something, or just put an arrow on it. And that's where we're going to start, bar 1. You can see that. Okay, good. So like I said, you've got, this is 1, 2, 3, 6, 2. This is also 6. I know it doesn't look like 6, but it is. And then you've got 2, 5. And then another 2 to 6. And then you've got 2 to 5. And then you've got 3. And then 2, 5 of 1. And then 1. And then it transitions into A flat. We'll get to that in a second. So 1, 2, 3. The way that works basically is if you've got your chord tones in the right hand, this is what we want to focus on to start. It's a good idea when you're learning songs from the spreadsheet, from the lead sheet. I've been working with spreadsheets all week for clients. If you're looking at the lead sheet, just go through the chord changes by playing 1 and 5 in the left hand and 2 and 7 in the right hand. So it just kind of goes up the scale. If you want to go up the whole scale, you can do that. But like I said, just play through the tune. And obviously there's going to be other notes that make it in there. So why do that? And the answer is because, especially since the melody is around those same notes. Listen. So the melody itself is improvising around the chord tones. Okay. So then as a solo, what you want to do is do the same thing that they did with the melody, which they don't always do. Obviously, this is Oscar Levant. But what you want to do is you want to capture those chord tones, even if it's not part of the melody, because that's your starting point for improvisation. And what you want to do with them is you want to find melodies that exist in between those chord tones, and if they are next to each other, like that, you want to use passing notes. And it's a good idea if you're practicing just to find different ways of getting to those notes. And then you can also get to them. So that's enclosures, right? You're surrounding the note, right? Try to find many ways of getting there. Okay? As you're doing that, also think about the chord itself, and that's just one chord tone, because if you think about the chord, now you've got another seventh in there that you can do the same thing with. So like this. And just focus on getting to those destination notes, the third and the seventh. So different third and seventh for each chord, but you get the idea. And just that very act of doing that, using these passing notes to get to those chords. And by the way, the passing notes are either chromatic or they're from the scale. So chromatically is this. From the scale is this. It's close, and it works. But chromatic and passing notes together, like this, chromatic and scale together, and it's going to automatically make you a more lyrical player. It's okay that you're a bit late. Dave, we're in the middle of talking about solo lines and making every note count. In bar 3, according to Alan, you noted the E diminished. I didn't note, by the way. This is my... I see what you're saying. My notation, right. Why and how does that help with improvisational thinking? Okay, so in bar 3, you'll notice that I put, is that what you're talking about? Bar 3, you noted the E diminished. Yeah, the E diminished as a 6th chord. So how does that help with improvisation? Well, it's because it's 5/7, which is a C. So this is the chord here, right here. So this is actually a C7 flat 9 chord. So if you look at an E diminished 7th chord in root position, it's a C7 flat 9. All you have to do is change the root to C. C, E, G, B flat, D flat. That's a C7 diminished 9, C7 flat 9 chord. Okay, so those are the kind of the same chords. That's why I notated like that, because sometimes it's easier to point out chord tones in the dominant 7th chord than it is to point them out in a diminished 7th chord. There aren't really any chord tones in a diminished 7th chord because everything evens out. So here you can play anything from like a diminished scale which is like a half whole scale. But if you want to point out chord tones, chord tones are a little bit less atonal to the ear. So if you think of it as a C7 chord, you've got the E and the B flat. So let's play the first few bars right up until there, and let's just focus on chord tones. So right, E7, E half diminished seventh, C7 flat 9. One more time. Right? You see the difference? Like if you're just doing E half diminished seventh or E diminished seventh, you get this sound. If you get a C7 flat 9, you get this sound. It's a different sound because it's based in tonality versus like some kind of random diminished chord. And random in music is not acceptable. You don't play random things. So it's just a little easier to think about it like C7 flat 9. I hope that answers your question, Alan. Thank you for it. I appreciate it. But too much embellishment spoils the purity of a single line. It's true, though I appreciate your teaching of improvisation. You're welcome. I do agree that the melody in any tune is the most important thing. But when it comes to soloing, you really want to just sort of let your expression fly a little bit. You're making up your own music at the time, and it's fun to do, and it sounds great. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Thank you. Brilliant and clear explanation. Thank you, Paul. You're welcome. Allison asks, do the destination notes land to fall on the same beat of each measure? Well, no. But the thought process is that somewhere during the duration of that chord, you hit the chord tone. Doesn't matter where it lands. Could land on any eighth note, really, especially if you're improvising, right? So it's sometimes a little more based in tonality if you end on the chord tone on the beat. So like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Right? And so it's a little more tonal if you do that, but if you think about the chord tones, it doesn't matter where they land as long as it's somewhere in the improvisational process. You see that? So the lines are moving up and they're moving down, but the chord tones are making their way in there, typically on the beat, but not necessarily. So in that sense, they're on the and, right? Okay. So, chord tones. The other thing that I think is important is that you don't just play lines, that you comp for yourself in around those lines. Throw it a line and then maybe play a chord like this. Well, chords, right? Chords, back to lines. Intersperse the two. It kind of makes your playing a little more. I think it doesn't matter whether you're playing with a bass player and a drummer or not. What matters is that you have color in your playing. So whether you're playing solo piano, you still play chords when you're playing with solo piano or playing with the band, play chords. It's going to help your sound. So the bass player's kind of doing their thing. Line. Okay, so you get to this transition in the tune where you're going from the key of E flat here to A flat major. So you need a 2-5 there. So basically F minor 7, B flat 7. Why? Because turnarounds, especially getting to different keys within the same tune, are super important to do. Whether you play it with chords or whether you play it with a line, it has to be there. So take it from the second line, F minor 7th to E diminished 7th, which is C7 flat 9. So you can feel it wanting to pull you towards there. So what I like to do a lot of times is just come down. Just come down, starting with the scale, but point out the chord tones along the way. Okay, so I think in terms of transitioning from one key to the next, think about the destination chords, chord tones. So we're going to A flat major 7. Think about these notes. You've got C and G as the chord tones, and we're heading there, right? And so when you get there, point out one of those notes. Let's point out, first of all, the third of the chord. You're going to hear how tonal it sounds. So from 2 bars before the A flat major 7. Hear it? Just that chord tone is such a beautiful note. Let's focus on the 7th now. It's not as obvious, but it sounds nice, right? The thing about the 7th is, and here's an interesting trick. Never miss an opportunity to put blues in there. So if you actually look at an A flat major chord, if you take the 6th of that scale, which is F, and you build a dominant 7th chord on top of that with sharp 11 or whatever, but that F7 chord can turn into a blues scale. So listen to this. This is the F7 blues scale. Right? So if we're on an F major 7th chord, think about an F7 blues scale the next time you play or transition from one key to another. So we're in E flat. We're going to A flat 7s. Think blues scale. You see how that works? So 2-5 of A flat, you can start the F7 chord early, but we're going to A flat. So I'm thinking about F7 when I want to hit the A flat major chord. Because if you just go to major, it sounds nice. But blues sounds more jazz. So let's try that transition again. So from 2 bars before A flat. Listen to this. And then you've got the use of that 7th as part of the, it's not exactly part of the blues scale, but it's the second note of that scale. One more time. cool, right? Check in and see if there's any discussion going on here. If I didn't say thank you for your question, Allison, thank you. I hope you got a good enough answer and something you're looking for that'll help you. Not sure who this is. I didn't catch a name earlier. I should recognize the @ handle, but I don't. Maybe I'm just reading it wrong. Do you have some advice on how to hear a melody based on the chord tones? So you are not just jumping between chord tones. Do you hear a melody before you execute your notes? I don't necessarily hear a melody. What I hear is the connection between the chord tones. It's not a melody per se. It's like, what are the passing notes between those chord tones that not just with your ears, but with your experience kind of tells you it's a good way to get there. It's sometimes not always the destination note that's most important. It is from a soloing perspective to sound more tonal, but in order to get there, you need notes that are sort of like surrounding it, which we call passing notes. So that's kind of, I'm not really creating, I mean, yes, they end up sounding like melodies, fast melodies, but it's mostly about the connection between chord tones. So let's just do that a little bit. So if I'm thinking chord tones, it's like, yeah, we did these kinds of things, right? Enclosures. So sometimes it's like you're putting in more notes in order to bridge the connection between the chords, which is the chord tones themselves. About to go to A flat. Here's the blues. In that case, it's like that's just experience going. Go up to the 7th and come down to the 3rd. Hit the sharp 11. Hear that? So that's a situation where you're targeting like the sharp 11 of the extension. So I'm going to C7 or E diminished 7th chord, and I hit like this F sharp. And then when we get to the D7 flat 9 chord, D, F, A flat, and C, that's a lot of dissonance to start a phrase. So what you can do with that is, and we're here, when you see that at the beginning of a phrase, because we just ended one, right? This is the phrase. C7 sharp 11. Think flat 5, because it's the melody note, right? Don't forget to put an F7 chord here. F7, sharp 11. Listen to this. Start the line. Right? If you stay on C minor, it's okay. It's just when you go to the A flat major, it's kind of like lunch bag let down. It's a little weak. Put some dissonance in there, right? C minor 7 to F7 sharp 11. Make sure you target, again, that flat 5 of D minor, 7 flat 5. Right? C minor to the chord tone of F7 sharp 11. I wouldn't put A flat major 7 there. Hope you're making notes as well. What would I do there? Stay on F. So this turns into F minor. C7 flat 9. F7. Don't forget this B flat sus chord. Really important. So think of like F minor over B flat. So play an F minor 7th chord over B flat. Hit the dominant chord and then go to E flat. So how did I do that? So this voicing, F, A flat, C, E flat, G, and B flat. These are your two extensions, 9 and 11. And then go to the flat 9 of B flat. So F minor, and then throw in the F up here too, because it makes a nice tritone in the middle. Okay, let's do this. Actually, before I do that, let me check and see. I hope that answered your question, by the way. Wow, there's more. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get to all of these, but we'll try. Hey, Shemek, nice to see you from Poland. Good to see you here. In the 8th bar, there is something I should have noticed a long time ago. The E flat 7 sus is the same as B flat minor 7. Yes? I don't know. Depends on where it is. 8th measure. Yeah, that's what we just did here. So we did F minor 7 over B flat. Do the same thing here. B flat minor 7 over E flat 7, E flat sus. And then if you want to make it nicer, let me erase some of this here. Make it a little more. So this is what he's asking, right? Think of E flat sus like a B flat minor 7 over E flat. And then instead of E flat 7, do the tritone substitution, A7, put a sharp 11 in there. And then what that can do is that can help you actually spell chords. So 2 bars before the A flat major 7 chord, we got G minor 7. And this is our sus chord, right? B flat 7 over E flat. Or B flat 7 over E to A7 sharp 11. Figure out some way to make it work, but I'm sure you can do that. But yeah, that's exactly right. Thank you for that question as well. Thanks, Paul. You are really good at those connecting notes. Thank you. That's just experience. You kind of get a feel for it after a while of just trying to solo over pretty much anything and everything. And your fingers and your ears develop a sound. Hopefully it's unique to you. That would be good. Why A flat major 7 points to a different key center? Isn't it still a diatonic chord 4/7 belonging to E flat major. Yeah, it is, but the transition to it makes it seem like you're switching keys. Yes, you're still in the key of E flat overall, but you're temporarily going into what I call the key of the moment. I should write that down. I'm going to write it here. So when we get to here, everything up until that point has been, or up until this point, which is A flat major 7, everything up until there has been the key of E flat. I think it's such a dramatic turn to get from this turnaround to get to here. That's what we call, we're now in A flat, which is called the key of the moment. So you can either play A flat with a D natural, which is the key of E flat, or you can play D flat. So it's completely up to you at that point because we've switched keys. Here's with D flat. Or here's with a D natural. It's a different sound, right? More of a Lydian sound. And then we're right back into E flat. Then we're going to C minor. You have to make a big deal out of going to C minor. Flat 5. Don't forget that flat 5. Also, if you're playing this as well, the F blues scale works there as well. Because the flat 5 is the flat 3 of a blues scale. The F blues scale. Chord tone, chord tone, chord tone, chord tone. Do you see how chord tones just sort of play a role in the whole thing? And getting your way to and from them and passing through them is half the fun of improvisation. You have to make every note count. And that's what I try to do, at least with my own playing. What is the theory reason that F7 sharp 11 works so beautifully before the A flat major 7th chord? So if you're talking about F7 sharp 11, I think you're talking about here. Let's erase all of this. This is a lot. Hopefully you got some of these notes down. Wow, time is flying here. That's okay, we'll stay a little bit longer. I haven't got the call from the hospital yet. So when I do, we'll be out of here, but we have time for now. So the F7 sharp 11 is here. This is where I put it. And it's not the fact that it goes here that makes it important. It is a 2/5 of B flat. And so it follows what we call circle of fifths. So this is circle of fifths, right? If we're in the key of C minor, this is 2, 5, 1, 4, and then it goes to, typically stays on the same note. I actually stay on F major, on F minor 7 to C7 instead of A flat major. So think of autumn leaves, right? If you actually went to E flat there, listen. One more time. Okay. So it's not that it's coming before the next chord, it's inconsequential. Just follow the circle of fifths whenever you can, especially if you have an empty bar like that. It's a great place for circle of fifths. Thank you for the question. Great explanation and good stuff for shedding. Thanks, Paul. You're very welcome. Richard. Yeah, you're welcome. All right, let's play the tune one more time. See how this goes. Have some fun with it. Listen to everything. And if you have any questions as I'm playing it, when we get back, you can ask those questions during, and I'll answer them when I get back. And reveal is going to be here when you get back, which is, I'm going to talk about a different transition to A flat major. So all of the things that we just talked about, we're going to change them up and find a different turnaround to A flat major. It's kind of fun to actually look at this and see how it works. So I'm going to try and incorporate it in this version, and then we'll talk about it afterward in the end reveal. Best wishes from Greendale, Australia. Must be seriously like early morning for you. Thanks for showing up. Appreciate it. And best wishes to Nancy. Nice. I love classes that focus on creating lines. You are so good at it. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for being here. I appreciate the comment. I feel the same way, says at something or other. Connecting with chord tones and making it sound lyrical is my biggest challenge. Yeah, it's a challenge for a lot of people, which is why I really wanted to talk about it today. Thanks, Paul, for helping out with that. You're welcome. Humming along. If I seem a little more, blame it on the slopes. Yeah, there you go. I feel so lucky to have stumbled on your tutorials. Oh, I feel lucky you found them. Thank you. All right, let's do end reveal, and then we'll call it a day. An alternative transition to A flat major in Blame It On My Youth. So let's put the sheet music back on temporarily, and let's do that. So here, we're going to go here. So instead of making your way, oh, what's happening here? Oh, that's the wrong thing. I'm pressing on the wrong thing. Here we go. So we're going to go here. Make sure you can see that. Yeah. And you're going to wipe all this out, and then we're going to change it up for this. We got sort of A flat over C. It's like, or F minor over C. It doesn't really matter. And then because it's C, do a 2-5. So you're going to go F7, sharp 11, and then do a 2-5 here, B flat minor 7 to E flat 7. So this is how actually some players play the tune. This is the changes that they know. Here we go. In F7. So you could go to G minor here, or you could go to A flat 7, A flat over C. And then so just think of it like a 2-5 of B flat, and then switch to a 2-5 of A flat. Okay. You could even do C half diminished 7, F7, or B7. So just make the whole thing come down the circle of fifths. Okay. It's a dissonant sound, but it's nice. Don't forget to switch to the B flat. Okay, just a different way of looking at it. Makes the soloing a little bit easier, not to have to think of all of those chords in there, but yeah, there you go. I hope you enjoyed today's end reveal, brought to you by me. Yeah. Prayers for your trip to Toronto and healing for your belt. Thank you, Allison. I will update you. So for those of you that are still here, thanks for sticking around for all of this time. It's currently sort of like 8 minutes past our time. We're going to end in 2. If you didn't get the sheet music, the link is still pinned to the top of the chat, so go grab that. That's the one we've been working on today. A little bit of an update on Nancy's situation. So we got some scans back, and she started feeling some pain when we were away. Just before we went away, she started feeling a lot of pain in her arm. So it's connected to, or it's nerve pain from her C5 vertebrae, which unfortunately is very risky. The cancer has reached there, and the local hospital, although good, the Walker Cancer Clinic, does not really know how to deal with this. It's either surgical or radiation or some other things. We're also doing some other protocol, but anyway, whatever. We have to fix this. So they're going to admit her to Sunnybrook, and they're going to do extra tests there, and they're going to decide, and they're going to give us their decision on what they want to do. But it's very dangerous because it could cause, unfortunately, paralysis, not just the surgery itself or the radiation, but the actual cancer itself could render her paralyzed. So that's pretty serious stuff. And keep her in your prayers. She's going to need them, trust me. So I'm going to go and be with her now. I thank you all for hanging out with me. Grazie. I appreciate that, Amadeo. And we'll see you all next week, hopefully. Same time, same place. My name is Paul Tobey. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. God bless you as well.